Are we live,
Should
bud?
be good.
Okay, we're live. We're back at Hoagie's Garage with take two. Like always, we like to mention our sponsors first. We'll mix this up. I'll go from the bottom up this time. Bud.
Okay.
But see, I got to put my finger here so I don't screw it up. Start out with Hero Haven. Gotta love what they do for all the first responders. We mentioned earlier tonight they're out on a hog hunt now down in Texas. Heartland Hardware. All your appliance needs. I believe they even have bedding in Brandon, South Dakota. They also have a store in George, Iowa, and Hayward, Iowa. Fulkins Brothers Trucking, which they've been a big part of the show forever. And again, I got to thank Steve for taking me where he takes me. Otherwise, we wouldn't have got a hold of DJ Netto because I got to talk to him in California, in Vegas. Kaiser Aluminum Wheels for micros, go-karts, sprint cars, pulling tractors,
Just
brakes.
down the road from us, about 50 minutes away.
Turn 2 Lodge in Knoxville. Just like it says, there's a place to stay right outside of Turn 2 at Knoxville. Look it up, give them a call. Houston Speedway, been sponsoring us since we started this. We got our after show program we do up there. Mother's Day is right around the corner. We get racing back in the Midwest. S2F, start to finish, another streaming service. They cover Power I races, Port City.
Tons of races.
Different
every
race
weekend.
tracks that they follow. They got all kinds of stuff. You gotta look them up, check it out. My Race Pass, which if you don't know what My Race Pass is, you need to check that out because you need that if you're racing.
Probably
You like
not a
racing.
race fan.
Yep. Morning Sun Marketplace, great big flea market out in central Pennsylvania. All kinds of stuff. You can't imagine, I don't think, what they all got there. Mount Tabor Cabinetry, also out in central Pennsylvania. Give Chris Fizzle a call. He'll fix your cabinets up, build you new ones, fix your old ones, I think, do everything for you. And then, of course, our newest one now is Rapid Graphics out of Rock Rapids. They've done a lot of our signs we have hanging up in here and this and that, and the letters and the graphics, a lot of vehicles, does a lot of stuff. Look it up, give Blake a call.
Absolutely. And before I go live, we don't have a sponsor from California, so that's
There
our
we go.
next one. But we have two from PA. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we
So,
got PA in the Midwest. We're going to have to work on this West Coast thing. We'll see if this guy we got coming on will help us out at all.
we'll steal some of his sponsors.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
here
like
we go.
Don't steal anything.
Yeah, right. Hey, Hoagie's Garage. We're finally going live here on our podcast part, and we have DJ Netto on. How you doing, DJ?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're doing great. We're doing great. Sorry that takes a little bit of time, but as you know with racing, if you don't have sponsors, you don't do much.
So, if you don't have sponsors, you ain't gonna be doing much racing.
No, she makes her tough.
Yeah, absolutely.
We could still talk without our sponsors, but then we wouldn't be able to sponsor any cars.
Yeah,
So,
There you go.
absolutely, absolutely. DJ, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you actually from, and how old are you? Do you have a family? What do y'all have?
So I'm 29, from Hanford, California. I'm married. I got a wife, Julia, and we got one dog. That's basically our kid. We don't no kids yet. Eventually, but yeah, we basically just got married about 3 years ago, 2021, and just working, racing, and figuring out life.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you know how long you've been married, because that I would not be able to answer that question. It'd been 96. Geez, I almost got an important one coming up.
I got to bring this up. I remembered mine this year.
Did you?
Yes, I did. I forgot it last year. Just telling you, DJ.
That's a good way to get the dog out.
Well, it's, yeah.
I'm way worse than that, Tobe. I've forgotten my wife's. I forgot the anniversary and my wife's birthday 2 times. So.
Oh, well, that's worse than me. But.
Yeah. So, and I was an athletic director, and the calendar's like the most important thing in the world to me, and I forget that. So.
Learn from our mistakes, DJ.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, obviously, I mean, you're working, you have a job. You're an awful busy man, because I think I come by your car 3 or 4 times in Vegas, and every time I'd ask somebody, "Where's DJ at?" "Oh, he's over there on the phone." So, you running your business all the time, or what is your business? Let's ask that.
Yeah, so I'm actually working right now. We're a commercial harvesting company for dairies. So we supply dairies out here in California. They grow the feed, or they contract and need feed. So we commercially cut the silage for them and put it up
Okay.
for the cows to eat. So right now is our wheat harvest, where we're chopping wheat. we got some crews out today, and we're getting started. We'll run till about the end of May.
And so are you like the owner of this operation or just a worker with them?
So my dad and uncle own it. My dad and uncle are partners in they're partners in the race team, they're partners in this, and then in this harvesting company. But we farm as well, so we have pistachios, almonds, walnuts, cotton. My dad and uncle are partners in all our Netto ag, which is a large umbrella. I mean, we got cotton, we got 3 dairies, so we used to have some cows of our own. So there's a lot of moving parts, so I basically play the role as keeping the operations running each day.
So
You
that's
try to
why
keep
he's
it
on the
organized.
phone all the time.
Yeah. Now we know.
I'm the guy that gets the phone call when there's problems.
Now, before you say anything, I will say I didn't know. I watched DJ Netto race a bunch. I don't know his background at all. So, coming from Iowa, which is we're surrounded. I mean,
Yeah,
my
we're all
backyard is farming.
Yep.
I really didn't think I was calling a guy from California and he was going to be involved in farming. So this is kind of cool.
And what?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Everybody thinks like, oh, California, like, especially when we step outside of California to go racing. Like a couple years ago, we went back to Brandon, and I've been to Knoxville a couple times. And every time somebody hears you're from California, they automatically think, well, you're either from the beach or you're an extreme leftist.
Yep.
And all I could say is where I live, it's like living in the Midwest. It's all farms, all dairies. We live right here in basically the central part of California, and it's all agriculture.
Well, that's awesome.
Yep, that's cool. I was gonna say we got a big dairy. Well, we got several big dairies, but there's the one big dairy. I think they might have been in California at one time, and they moved out here. I think they milk 10,000 head now or something. I'm not sure, but when they put their silage up, you were talking about cutting silage. I think they hired 4 different crews. So they got silage come from every direction, making this monster pile. And the one time I rode by there, I almost wanted to stop and watch it. They had 8 of them great big all-wheel drive tractors with the blades all on that pile at the same time, and they weren't even that close to run into each other. That's how big the pile was.
Yeah, so like right now, that's what we do, right? So we at our peak season, we'll be running 30 cutters, which is 4-inch harvesters, Kloss or John Deere. We run about 30 of those, and I run about 12 crews.
Okay.
Goddamn.
You're chopping a lot of product.
Yes, we're moving quite a bit of feed.
Because them choppers, when they run them here through the cornfields, and the corn is now 10 foot tall nowadays, but they take like 12 rows at a time, and they're moving when they're going down there. It don't to fill a semi. I don't know if it takes 2 minutes.
1 minute and 43 seconds.
We're talking to the right guy. He's got all the information. I was pretty close, so I'm happy with myself, bud. This is as I go by on the highway. It's like you fill a truck as I go by.
Good 30-ton corn, pretty quick.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we probably should talk racing.
I'm having fun.
That's what he has to deal with all day long.
Yeah,
so,
we'll go back to racing.
How young were you when you actually started racing, and how did racing come about? Has it been in the family, or how did you get started?
Yeah, so my dad and uncle both race. My dad did like non-wing sprint cars. He did micro sprints and non-wing sprint cars, and my uncle did like pavement. He did some like West trucks, kind of like the Craftsman trucks, but a West version out here.
Yep.
And some late model stuff, and they both did it, but at the time they were young, and they were trying to start this business that I'm fortunate enough to run nowadays. And like we said at the beginning of the show, racing's very expensive. They were each starting families, and they didn't have what I'm blessed to have nowadays. And I have all the tools and everything it takes to get the job done and race very competitive with some very good people around me. So when I started when I was 12 years old racing micro sprints, and then we went to sprint cars when I was like 17. I was looking looking at something the other day, and it was like 10 years ago, and I was like, that doesn't seem that long ago.
Wait till you get to be our age. The years go by faster, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of caught me by surprise. I was like, man, that was 10 years ago already. It's crazy, but yeah, it goes by really fast. So that's kind of how it started for me. I wanted to race even before I started racing micros. My uncle, he has 2 girls. He doesn't have any boys, and his 2 girls played softball, and so did my sister. They did travel softball, and I'm the youngest between our 2 families, and so I was begging my dad to let me start racing, and my dad he kept trying to hold off. He didn't want me to start racing because of softball, and we were traveling every weekend for that, and everything in between. And I started to ask my uncle, and I think my uncle kind of got annoyed with me. He told my dad, if you don't buy this kid a race car, I'm going to, and see if he likes it, you know. So they finally bought me my first race car, and never looked back.
Yeah. So
that's your favorite uncle too, I bet now, ain't he?
Yeah, no, we talk every day.
So I have to ask, with all the traveling softball, you're talking to 2 guys that played fast pitch softball pretty much our whole lives. So little town Leicester here that we're in is 250 people, and you know, my dad played until he was 55. He was a pitcher. I pitched fast pitch.
3 of your brothers pitched
Yeah.
fast pitch.
So how good was your sister and your, what would that be, cousins?
Yeah.
Did they make it to like college level or not?
Yeah, no, my cousins, they played all the way through high school, and then they went to school for some serious degrees, and I think one's a lawyer and one's something else now. My sister went to Santa Clara to be an attorney for softball. She went there to play softball, and she's an accountant. But yeah, she played at Santa Clara University for softball. But my uncle, he was coach of like the Fresno Force, which was a travel team for a long time in Fresno, close by here. Yeah, they traveled all around playing softball.
That's
If
awesome.
you're on a travel team, you're pretty good anyhow.
Yeah, absolutely.
We traveled, but we weren't always that good.
We like to have a lot of fun too. And some of our guys kind of were known for getting into way too many fights. So, but
When
that was more at street dances after
when we were younger.
Yeah, so.
We got smarter as we got older. So, you've been racing for a while now. Obviously won races. Do you have a win so far? Even go back to your micros that was really stands out for you, or even a loss that sucked because you screwed up on the last corner, whatever. Just you got something that pops in your mind?
Yeah, no, there's one that haunts me every time I go race with like the Outlaws or the High Limit. I was leading an outlaw race a couple years back, actually. And it was when Tyler Walker had just came back, and they kept telling him on the radio about trying to get in line and listen, and he wouldn't listen. And there was like 2 to go, 3 to go, and I was leading. And when we went back green, I ran out of fuel.
Oh, damn.
And I drove from like 6 to the lead, and 4 to the lead or something like that. And leading it, Chico, Mini Gold Cup, beginning of the year, kind of, a little bit of a rough track, had its technique to holes here, there, and just that one sticks with me. That to win your first one of those is the hardest thing, and I think once you get that first one out of the way, the nerves kind of calm down when you're leading, because last year I was leading one at Clary, and I drove to the lead, and I was leading it. I kind of knew I was starting to get a little free, and I had to be within 10 to go, and I just messed up a little bit on the curve and popped the fence. And one little mistake like that, I nicked the fence, and I didn't wreck, but you tag the fence just that little bit of hair. With those guys, I think by the time I got it out of the fence, I was in third. Gravel got by me. I think Schuart got by me. So it's like those two, like once you get that first one, I think your nerves calm down and put yourself in situations like that where you know what you have to get done. And you're not thinking about like, okay, how many laps do I got left? And I think that's the big thing now is like at my age is I go through a lot of problems at work every day, so there's nothing that really makes me nervous when I'm in a race car, because nothing there is as important as what I do on my day job.
Yeah.
So I could kind of control the nerves, but when you know you got gravel and you know you got shots and karts and those guys behind you when you're leading those big races, that's hard. That's hard.
Oh yeah. Because, like you said, just the smallest little screw up and they're going to pounce. And I can't imagine what was going through your mind when you're leading underneath them caution laps going, what the hell is taking so long?
Yeah.
Get your ass in line, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes I always tell myself every time I think of that day, I wish it would have never came back.
Yeah. So
At least waited a little longer to come back.
now I'd like to point out, and this is typical race car drivers, because what did he point out? He pointed out
The two losses.
the two biggest losses, and that's what you
Yep.
remember the most. But there has to be a win or two that you remember also that was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's every win special in its own way. You know, whether it's a 360 win or a 410 win, or winning a memorial race. Like we race at Watsonville every July for the Howard Keating, and I won that race with Drew Warner a couple years back. Not that it was a big race; it was a 360 race, but it was memorable because Howard Keating was such a legend on the West Coast. So everyone has its different thing. Winning a 410 race. Yeah, those are always awesome when we win those out here, but there's certain races that I would say that carry a little bit more to being a 360 race. I've almost won Trophy Cup a couple years now, and I think I'm getting close on that one, but I would say probably the Howard Keating sticks with me pretty well. And that, the Pombo Sergeant, because those are probably my best ones.
Now, I always like to run into the guys we interview after we interview them to say thank you in person. It's just kind of what I like to do. Is there any chance you're coming to the Midwest, to Knoxville or anything this year, or you got no Midwest plans this year?
I don't think we have any Midwest plan this year because we normally our slow time, which is really not even slow. It's just we're not harvesting commercially for other people. Is June, so we would normally travel in June. That's when we went to Brandon a couple years ago.
Yep.
But this year we're gonna go do the whole. I haven't done it in a couple years past. My brother got married last year, so I wasn't able to go up into Oregon. So we're gonna do the whole run up into Oregon to Skagit this year.
Oh, that's awesome. And we were just talking with Tony Laporta, and he said that's one of his favorite places to go up there was Skagit. So
yeah, it's a scenic, beautiful, weather's good, cools down at night, all the good stuff.
So, well, maybe if I get back to Vegas next year, we've already talked about that a little bit, I'll have to say thank you then. So, if some dude comes walking up to you again at Vegas a year from now, that's why I'm coming up to say hi.
Maybe you could talk Steve into going to Skagit.
No, I ain't gonna suggest him because he'd probably go. And I ain't got much vacation lined up, but.
Oh man.
Vegas was interesting with that wind. Holy
Oh, the weather did not cooperate real well there.
No, it didn't.
Yeah.
I still had an absolute blast because I'd never been to Vegas before.
Yeah.
But
That's always a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
and then Paul Silva had hooked us up with pit passes for the NASCAR race. So that made the NASCAR race really enjoyable.
That's the only way you can go to a NASCAR race. That changes the whole aspect of it.
Steve asked me that later. He says, "Hey, next year we come back next year. Maybe we'll just get seats up in the stands next year." And I says, "Well, you can do that if you want, but if that's what we're doing, I'll probably just take the motorhome." I was hoping you'd say that. He said, "Because this was really cool down here."
Yeah.
So, otherwise, that makes 2 NASCAR events I've been to, and it's going to be really hard to sit in the stands now.
Yeah. What's your favorite track to run at?
Tulare. Nothing like Tulare when it's technical against the fence or holes. There's nothing compares to that place.
Okay, now you said holes, and there's we have 3 TVs, and we try and stay up for California's.
Sometime before the heat race, and I watch the feature tomorrow.
You gotta realize we're getting old, but the tracks out there, I think character is the nice way to say it, but they're rough.
Yeah. Some of them have character. A lot of these smaller tracks too, I feel like we see a lot of the time, these guys, small track, they run a lot of the modifieds, or they get them really wet because they overwater them, and that's where you start to see them get holes.
Yeah.
I think they got them better here in the last couple of years. They used to be really rough, and in the last couple of years, I think we've got our tracks a little bit better, where they're a little smoother. I think Tulsare's been really good lately, except obviously, a lot of the, like when High Limit comes out at the beginning of the year, that's like the first race that track's seen all year, and we just came out of our winter season, so it's always going to be rough.
Yep.
At the first race.
Yep, the ground ain't worked up right or nothing yet. And
Yeah, you start getting here towards like October and Trophy Cup soon. Like that's a good race if you guys ever want to. I mean, I know it's 360 race, but the format is it's awesome. It makes where you have to pass. You have, high point guys starting 8, you have to pass. Otherwise, every time you're on the racetrack, you have to pass.
Yeah.
if it's
Track is normally awesome for that.
if it's got wings on it and it's going around a dirt track, we're gonna watch it. It don't matter. I mean, I went with Joe for 2.5 hours, whatever, to watch the 305 race. Had a blast. We don't care if it's on dirt and it's going in a circle. We're probably happy with it.
If you're ever going to come out to California, I highly recommend the Trophy Cup weekend. 3 nights, 360s, good card count, and a lot of passing.
Yeah.
So now, 360s, 410s, and we've talked with somebody else out there about this a little bit too, but I don't know. It seems like, Knoxville has a bunch of 360s yet, and I know PA has 358s, but in our area here, it seems like the 360s are dying a little bit, and everything's going to 410 because the motors cost the same.
Or close to it.
I mean, I think you're seeing that more often now than we have in years past. Actually, out in California, for a while, it was like 360s. Everybody was wanting to switch to 360s, and now I think we're starting to see it go back the other way, where the NARC's starting to pick up more cars. You got Chico's running 410 shows now, and you order a 360 or you order a 410, you're about the same money, and one might actually be more than the other.
Yeah.
But yet the payout for the 360 is considerably less, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, way less. Like you could go race with High Limit, you can make some good money just if you make the show, and say you run top 10, you'll make what it pays to win most 360 shows by just running in the top 10.
Yeah.
And out here though in California, we have that SCC2, which is the Sprint Car Challenge Tour. They actually pay fairly well for a traveling 360 show. They pay about, I think it's about the same as NARC pays to win a 410 show here. I couldn't tell you if it's the exact same because, to be quite honest with you, I race because I love it. I'm not racing for the money. And I just love racing 410 cars. So like the 360s, if we look to throw something in for the weekend, and I don't ever like to not race 2 weekends in a row. So if we got to fill something in, we'll go race 360s. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, he's joking over there. So I'm just gonna throw this out there because I don't know how well you know him or don't know him, but we got to know Sean Quinn really well and Chase Johnson just through talking with them. Sean Quinn used to do a bunch of stuff with Jody Rosenboom and stuff like that from right here in our basically hometown area with Tobe. But have you heard lately anything on Chase, or how well do you know them, or anything like that?
Yeah, I know Chase. I know Chase just from seeing her at the races. Kind of friends from there. I don't know how he's doing. I know he didn't make it home, but I'm sure he had a long road to go. I don't know the details of everything.
Nope, that's fine.
Just a curiosity question. You were talking car counts. I listened again, too many podcasts during the day. They're talking possibly 70 plus cars at Knoxville this weekend.
Holy smokes.
For the Outlaw show. Just, I'm assuming some of the High Limit guys will show up just for practice at Knoxville. But they're suspecting 70 cars.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So that one might get over at California time.
Yeah, we might be there for a little while.
Yeah, 70. That's crazy.
But we'll make it work.
Yeah. What do you run for engines then?
Riders. I have all rider stuff, rider 410s and rider 360s.
Yep, that's
Yeah, everything we have is rider.
If you order a new one, it sounds.
Been with rider for a long time now. Very long time actually. I think like 8 years.
Okay, well then you might get yours sooner than 18 months, but I heard somebody say the other day that rider's 18 months out if you order a new one.
We actually just got a new one last week, a new 410. So.
Oh, perfect. Oh, you're good then.
Yeah, no, we're good. It can last me for what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. What is your typical yearly schedule? You try and get 50 races in? How many races are you trying to get in a year?
Just depends, right? It's been all over the board. You know, we used to have a lot of local racing right here in Hanford and Tulare, where we could get quite a bit of racing in. There'll be local 360 shows, and there would be, local 360 shows at Tulare, and then there was a lot of 410 shows. And with us running into the problem now, Hanford doesn't have a promoter, so there's no racing going on there. In Tulare, they normally just do their little bit of 360 and off and on. So for me, when I get really busy in this month right now, month of April, May, it's hard for me to travel. And then when we start harvesting again in August, September, October, it's very hard to get in. So if I get 40 to 50 races, I'm happy. I'm happy with that, you know. But with the way the schedule's shaped up, you know, pretty much I could run the NARC stuff, the 410, except miss a few when we're busy, and then Outlaws and High Limit, and that should be plenty of racing for me when they're out here.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So, I don't know, we probably should let him go. He's still working.
Yeah. Sponsors? And then
Yep.
we'll get to our rapid fire.
Maybe rattle off your sponsors quick, and then we'll get our rapid fire question. We don't want to keep you too long, because you're still working.
I'm just checking fields. I drive and talk on the phone most of the day.
You probably got to talk to more important people than me and Bud, though.
Obviously my dad and uncle for owning the car and giving me the opportunity to keep doing what I love to do, and that's Netto Ag, and then Continuing Grain and Vanderbilt Petroleum. Those guys have been with me since the beginning. Steve Kent, KPC Chassis, Doug Watts, who works on the car, and there's a lot of people who take care of the things, and I don't have the time to work on, so I just get to show up and have fun.
So who does work on the car then?
Doug Watts, he takes care of the car, maintains it, takes it to the track. We meet him there. He also helps me work too, but mainly main focus is taking care of the race car. And then Steve Kent, who builds the race cars, has been going to the racetrack with us and helping set them up here recently. And it's been a good teamwork between me, Doug, and Steve, and things are going good. And I'm really excited for the year too. So I think it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the gentlemen I talked to in Vegas when I kept trying to find you, and you were always on the phone.
It was guaranteed it was one of them.
All right. We'll hit you up with our rapid fire questions here. These are really difficult. What's your favorite kind of ice cream?
Rocky Road, Spirit Dairy here in Hampton, California.
There you go.
This one we already know, I believe, but cat or a dog person?
Dog, definitely dog.
Yeah. What kind of dog you got?
I got an Australian Shepherd.
Oh, okay. High energy dog.
Oh, he's sometimes. Most time lazy though.
Oh,
I got one of the lazy ones.
that's good. You need one of those.
Yeah.
What do you have any hobbies other than racing and working?
There's no time for anything else.
I was gonna say, is there any time for it?
There's no time for anything else.
How about a favorite movie?
Days of Thunder.
Okay.
Good old classic.
Yep. I don't know where you're at in California if you get any snow, but do you prefer snow or rain?
I prefer the snow, but I am 2 hours from the snow and I'm 2 hours from the beach, so I'm right in the middle of whatever I would want.
There you
Have it
go.
all. You just prefer to have enough rain to keep the crops growing.
Exactly. Snow actually though, because the snowpack in the mountains where our water comes from. So
Sure.
Snow, definitely snow.
Come down and fill the reservoirs for you.
Exactly.
If you were going to be stranded on an island, what album or what type of music would you want along to listen to?
Either Morgan Wallen or John Party, because you could have a nice cocktail in hand and not a worry in the world.
There you go. do you have a favorite place to go out to eat?
It's a Mexican restaurant here in Hanford, El Tarasco. My family and my wife's family, we are there about once or twice a week most of the time.
That's awesome.
Mexican is a popular favorite place to go to eat.
It is, and hopefully ours opens up here in town. February 7th is when we heard it was going to open, and it's still not open. So
They're still working on it, though,
Yep.
so we got a chance.
There's nothing better than a margarita and some fajitas.
there you go.
A lot of that stuff is really good.
Yep.
How about a favorite holiday?
Christmas, it's really the only one I observe.
Okay.
How many speeding tickets do you have?
That's the craziest thing. So I have, knock on wood, because I'm driving right now. I have one speeding ticket that I got when I was 17 years old. I do
Damn.
not drive fast. When the speed limit is, I'm about like 5 miles an hour over it. My wife, on the other hand, she's a Ricky racer. I always like to say I like to drive the speed limit because I know what it feels like to crash, and I don't want to do it in a regular vehicle.
Well, maybe your wife just has the looks that she doesn't need to worry about getting caught.
Exactly. I'm not a seer at all.
So then this next question could prove interesting. What's the fastest you've ever driven on the highway or ridden with your wife on the highway? Or somebody else?
Yes, so one of our mechanics at our shop, he has a Corvette, and it's all souped up. So I rode with him in his Corvette one time, and I'll never do that ever again, but he was doing 180.
180. Yeah, that's moving.
Yeah, everything was a blur.
I was going to say, she's hard to check crops at that speed.
Yeah, it was flying.
What's your favorite drink or go-to beverage?
Michelob Ultra, or we have these things out here called High Noon, which is like a vodka with real fruit juice.
Yep, I think I've seen them even around here a little bit now.
Have you?
I think
Probably
so.
popping up out there. Yeah, they're from Modesto, California, out here. That's where they're made.
I've heard of it
Really
anyhow.
good. It's like to replace like a White Claw. It's very similar, but it's with real fruit juice. Pretty good.
So it's healthy.
There you go.
Yeah.
Every fruit juice and it's healthy.
Gotta watch the cards.
So if you had just won the lottery, had all the money in the world, is there anything you've ever wished you'd owned, whether it's a car, a pickup, a boat, a motorhome? Is there something you've always wanted that you could just blow your money on?
Maybe some more farmland. Just something that's going to return me to make more money. But yeah, no, I'm not big on a motorhome. That's just going to cost you more money. No cars, no motorhomes.
Just farmland. That works.
Work. It sounds like work to me.
Yep. Work, and play hard on the weekends.
Either more race car engines or something that's going to return me. But vehicles, that bad investment. No.
You just about need all the money in the world too to buy a whole bunch of motors.
Exactly.
They do not give them away.
Whole bunch of money or a whole bunch of time, one or the other.
Yep.
Okay, so this is maybe a dumb question, but in Iowa here, crops is a huge deal, and acre sells for around $23,000.
The good stuff is around $23,000 an acre.
So what's it in California?
Well, right now we're kind of in a middle road type deal because we got this thing called Sigma, which is going to affect how much water you can pump out of the ground. So land used to, if you had two sources of water being like a canal where you could pull water out of, used to be $30,000 an acre for open ground. And nowadays it's around that 20, 25, depending if you have two sources of water. That's for open ground. You get some stuff with trees on it, you're looking 40s, higher up. Yeah.
Jeez.
Okay.
I was expecting it to be way higher, to be honest.
No, it used to be like I said, open ground used to be carrying that 30,000 an acre where we were at. But with this Sigma, there's so much uncertainty in what's going to take place on how much water you can pump and how much you can farm. And until they have that figured out, there's not a lot of people buying land. No.
Yeah.
So now Bud brought this up, and
interest rates are too high too. So
Yeah.
and you said it there too when it's got trees on it. Are we talking like almond trees or what? Or fruit trees or just forest? Okay.
Almonds,
Yep.
any type of permanent crop, right? almonds,
Okay.
pistachios. Those seem to be carrying still pretty decent value for land. Now, if you got a walnut tree, it devalues your land because the price has been so bad. So, yeah, pretty much almonds and pistachios are the ones. If you have two sources of water and water stock, and you have like almonds or pistachios, you're gonna get really good money for that ground. Probably around 40.
I met,
See,
an,
look
almond,
at
I
us.
met an almond and pistachio farmer in Vegas.
We're learning all kinds of stuff outside of racing tonight. So
It's just called a racing podcast.
well, DJ, we thank you so much for coming on to talk to a couple of yahoos from Iowa, and we really appreciate your time, and we wish you the best this year.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me on. Take care.
Yep.
All right, we'll see you.
See you later.
We'll see you. Bye.
Bye. That was fun.
That was awesome.
We got to learn all sorts of stuff.